So I was thinking, what about time to get really childish?
You can do that's fine by me, because it is, isn't it? It's basically, we're not exactly starting off on a highbrow note, are we, Steve?
No, we're not. I mean, what about reaching out will be there? Getting childish. Stretches it a bit, doesn't it? Hello. So this week's audio book club contains scenes of extreme violence. Parental discretion is advised. Hello and welcome to Audio Book Club, your fortnightly roundup of audiobook new releases and recommendations. I'm Steve Phillips in London, and joining me from Adelaide, although we're superimposed it so it looks like we're in the same room, but let's see if it matches up. From Adelaide, it's Matthew Layton.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
So what have you got for us this week, Matt?
Well, Steve, we're going to start off really lowbrow. We're going to start at the lowest common denominator.
Right.
But this week is a big week for the audiobook market. It's one of the biggest releases of the year. It is the latest in the Jack Reacher series by Lee Child. It's book number 25 on a sunbed near you. It's called The Sentinel. Are you familiar with the series, Steve?
Not overly familiar, if I'm honest.
No, to be honest, you could be a young version of the protagonist, Jack Reacher. He's a former military cop. He's 6'5" and slightly scary to look at. And he wanders the United States with his passport, his bank card, and a toothbrush. He's the ultimate free entity, and he gets off a Greyhound bus at the beginning of each book, and the Greyhound bus stations are always in the grotty part of town, and there's always somebody in front of him, an innocent citizen who is in some sort of trouble with the Yakuza or Russian spies or somebody, and Jack Reacher punches that person in the side of the bad person in the side of the head, and they fall over. And there it begins 400 pages of some sort of mystery or other that normally ends up with him stopping something being blown up or freeing loads of people from human trafficking or slavery. And this book does all that.
Does he ever use his toothbrush?
He does. But
good,
as I say, alarmingly, no toothpaste. And again, as with most films and television programs, you hear about them brushing their teeth, but you never hear about them having a wee.
No, you never do. Never. Films and books, you never sort of say, hang on, I'll be right with you. We'll get straight into the car chase. I just need, can we pop into the service station on the way? Because I am busting.
Well, you see, I'm married, Steve, so I find that often the best conversations in my family happen when I'm sitting down through the bathroom door, if you know what I mean.
Of course.
So, yeah.
We all know what you mean.
He does brush his teeth, though. But, yes, he doesn't seem to have those bodily functions. So he's kind of an archetypal hero. His motto is hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Find a laundrette.
I firmly believe that the audiobook is better than the old-fashioned, conventional, non-waterproof, tree-based product. And the thing that makes it worthwhile is the narration by Jeff Harding. I don't know if you caught our imaginary producer, Samantha, today. She was tweeting. He's an American actor. And he used to be, get this, Steve, Ed Winchester.
Hi, I'm Ed Winchester.
That's the one.
Oh, no way. He's brilliant. He's brilliant. No, he's fantastic.
But again, he does a similar thing here, which is he's not in tune with the surroundings as Ed Winchester from The Far Show. We'll put a link in the description, I guess, Steve.
Yep.
Next to the merch.
Yeah. Currently empty shopping basket at the moment, though.
There is no merch. There is no merch.
We don't have a Patreon. Or customers.
There is no merch. Yeah. And yeah, so he the brilliant thing he does that really brings this character to life is deliver it in the most lugubrious, monotonous. He could be reading the phone directory, reaches in an alleyway, lining up against three thugs, and measuring the angles and which limb he's going to put where. But he does it in exactly the same tone of voice as he uses when he's making a shopping list. It's brilliant, and it conveys a sort of a calm and a confidence of the lead character. I mean, the book's written in third person, so it's never I this or I that. But I have to play you a clip, Steve.
All right. The driver raised the gun to Reacher's head. Back up against the wall. Keep your hands where I can see them. He waited for Reacher to comply, then moved forward to the dumpster. Don't move. He lifted the lid with his free hand and took a glance inside. Reacher waited a moment for him to register the state his buddy was in, then strode forward and pulled the gun from his waistband. He switched it around so he was holding it by the barrel and swung it in a fast sideways arc. The butt smashed into the driver's elbow. The driver dropped his own gun and the lid of the dumpster and slumped down on one knee. Reacher switched the gun to his left hand, wrapped his right hand around the side of the guy's head and slammed it against the dumpster. Then he grabbed the front of his shirt, half lifted him, and dropped him down in a sitting position with his back against the metal. His body was as slack as a rag doll.
So he's going, and then he did a big kung fu kick on him, and then he smashed his head into a dumpster and he fell over like a rag doll. And it's just that whole ridiculous, it's not even swagger, it's just more matter of fact. And he moves much as he does in his life from one thing into the next. And yeah, I just love these books. So people have said online, the opinions are on the interwebs, Steve.
Yes.
That the narration lacks a little life. And I think people one review in particular that I saw was from somebody who bought, this is the first Jack Reacher book that they bought in audiobook format. And they said, no, I'm going to go back to the original because the narrator's really boring. But that entirely misses the point. It's to be a little bit highfalutin about it, the cadence, the rhythm, the intonation may seem at first to be boring, but if, like me, you've done all 25 books and whatever number of novellas that the publishing company forced him to put out to make more dosh, it's like a comfy pair of slippers, and I absolutely love it.
This is the thing, isn't it, about audiobooks now? I mean, and how things have come on in the last sort of 10, 15 years in the format, is that this is no longer just a book. It can really be lifted even further when it becomes an audiobook in terms of the performance, the atmosphere it creates, the tone, intonation, the cadence, as you say. It just makes the book, 100 times even more engrossing than it would be in the printed page.
Yeah, and you know what? There are those that have all the swooshy, wishy sound effects. I recently reviewed Pilgrim by Sebastian Baskovitz, and that's a full ensemble cast, proper BBC job with soundscapes and sound effects and that kind of thing. And to be honest, that's one type of thing that you can have. This, again, the Jack Reacher book, you don't actually have to pay too much attention to it. This is not a sit down in a leather chair one. This is a wander around with headphones on, or do the ironing, or do the hoovering. And as I say, it's just comforting company, I think, Steve. Audiobooks can fulfill different purposes, and this one just makes you, it's like audio chewing gum, I think, to use a simple analogy. It's fun to be immersed in that world, and it doesn't demand too much of you.
It takes us back to a more innocent time, doesn't it? When we were all huddled around the wireless obviously we probably weren't, but our parents were huddled around the wireless waiting for their favourite radio programme to come on, and all was right with the world.
I don't think Dixon of Dock Green used to slam people's heads against dumpsters, Steve. It's a bit of a British reference there.
Even all. Yes, you're right. And it never really happened. Even in Juliet Bravo, I mean, let's face it, there wasn't a huge amounts of violence in that, was there really? It's only when you got to, the Sweeney, Spender. Hang on. Is this like Spender? It's not like Spender, is it?
Now, funnily enough, while he was making Spender, this is one for our North American and Australasian audiences, Jimmy Nail lived in the house opposite the house where I grew up. And you could see him sitting there on the sofa of an evening in his living room. And my friend Felix reminded me of the story of the day Jimmy Nail gave up drinking was the day he woke up with an axe in his head. Which, so yes, it is a little. Yeah. It isn't. No. He woke up with an axe in his head.
Right. Oh. Right.
Well, yeah. So yes, Jack Reacher really is less Dixon of Dock Green, more Spender. Yes.
So for the uninitiated, Matt, tell us all about the Child, Lee Child. Tell us his backstory. Tell us about his series, of course, the Jack Reacher series.
Lee Child is a pen name based on an in-family joke that doesn't really matter. His actual name is James Dover Grant, and he's a commander of the British Empire. He got his CBE for Services to Literature. He was born on the 29th of October 1954, graduated from the University of Sheffield with a degree in law, no intention to use this degree in law in a professional capacity. He worked for Granada Television, again, more British TV references in Manchester. And at the time, they were making things like The Jewel and the Crown, Prime Suspect and Cracker. But in 1995, at the age of 41, he lost his job in a company restructure, and he decided to give himself that pen name and try his hand at writing fiction. And I think it's going rather well. The series has sold over 100 million copies to date. Somewhere in the world, a Jack Reacher book is sold every 9 seconds.
I heard an interview that Jeremy Paxman did with Lee Child, and it's fascinating to hear him talk about the backstory. I had no idea. Obviously, I knew the name. I knew how established the series was, but I didn't know, things like he worked for Granada, and he works on all those amazing TV shows back in the 1970s, 1980s, and incredible sort of backstory to him and where he is now.
It's interesting that. So it's interesting to find out, of course. I'm sure many American readers or listeners would not be aware that he's a Brit, because the books are so firmly rooted in a love or a need to consume American landscape, culture, people, cuisine, the good and the bad, the fall in New England, or the cold nights in the desert. It covers all those things. It covers posh restaurants with steak and greasy spoon diners where he'll rate the coffee. But it's interesting. So in all cases, Reacher lands in the town as an outsider with no intention to stay, and Lee Child writes this from his apartment as an Englishman, his apartment overlooking Central Park. So there's an extent to which Lee Child, the author, is also a bit of an outsider. And I think you have to be an outsider to get that vivid a picture of a vivid a description of the United States. And it does make you, with the rough and the smooth, it does make you fall in love with that country and those people.
And how he characterizes people as well. How does he flesh out Jack Reacher? How does he portray other characters as well?
So the way he portrays Jack Reacher is as immovable object. So it's very much the same. You gradually find out a little more about Reacher in every book. I would say that this is the one where we found out least about him. But the key thing is that he is steadfast while all around him is exploding in chaos and violence. The other characters, by their very nature, are not as well drawn because they're not there for 25 books. They're there for one book by the very nature of the series. Nobody comes back. He moves on. He hands back a mobile phone he's borrowed in the course of this book because he doesn't want to have any connection. But the interesting thing that I think I've noticed in this book compared to ones at the start of the series is that the author has moved with the times. So in this book, one of the female characters, rather than just being one against something he consumes, actually gives one of the baddies a kick in the knee when you're least expecting it. So his portrayal of female characters has moved with the times, I think. Although I do have a little bit of concern, perhaps, about how the narrator, Jeff Harding, does the women's voices. Can I play you a clip?
Go ahead.
The United States is facing a lot of threats. We have a lot of defensive programs running, and the Russians have an agent in place who's attempting to steal a copy of the most critical one.
What does it do?
It protects the integrity of the election system software in 48 states. It's the only thing that does.
And the Russians are trying to steal a copy. So what? If they succeed, what could they do with it? Change the result of an election? Aren't there fail-safes, paper backups?
In some places. But changing the result is not their goal. That's too direct. This is the Russians we're talking about. This time they're specifically trying to erode faith in the election system itself.
And he started writing that book about this time last year, Steve.
No way. Oh, how topical is he?
Yeah, so I guess not that hard to predict, but you would hope that in Jimmy, as his school friends seem to call him, in Lee Child's flat, he's sitting there in a wingback chair, sort of nursing a glass of brandy, going, I told you so. But it's amazing that it should come out this very week. I think it's pretty. So when you asked me about characterization, I perhaps didn't give you a full enough answer because I hadn't thought about it enough. But in terms of this is something that you would normally pick up in an airport in a physical form. It's the one that's on the racks and in the top 10.
Yeah,
but it is written by somebody who has a little bit of solid clout to him. He has a brain. The interesting thing for me is Reacher has, which you wouldn't necessarily expect from a former military policeman who's gruff as all hell, is he's always been incredibly tolerant and inclusive and a supporter of the disenfranchised. And there's certainly no, even though this book would probably appeal to people of a more right-wing bent, you would think, Child is slipping them the vegetables and portraying a world of tolerance. And there's one point in this book where he goes, normally Reacher would kick him with his left foot, kick him in the head with his left foot and maybe hold back a bit. But the guy was a Nazi. So he did it with his right foot and he did it hard.
Well, so that's one massive vegetable right there, isn't there, really? Yeah. That's a marrow, isn't it? Right there. Yeah. Yes. Or eggplant.
I'm really, 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 as I say, I love these books. They are schlock, but they are the best kind of schlock. They have a good purpose behind them. And yeah, he's a lovable rogue, mate.
Just going back, just going back to our original premise. It's all a bit lowbrow for ABC as we're now initializing Audiobook Club.
Well, you know what? That's actually not. Yeah, the teething problems. I think that's called, Steve, because obviously what I've done is recycled the script I used on the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, which happens to share our initials.
Yes. And don't tell them.
No, it's fine. I think we're getting away with it. But every other weekend when this isn't appearing on YouTube, I will be starting the conversation on ABC Radio's network of 60 local radio stations on a show called Weekends with Andrea Gibbs. So I'll tee it up the week before. Then we'll wait for people's comments. We'll make this video and hopefully bring people in. But yeah, the ABC that you referred to in that line of the script that I'm looking at now that I should have deleted shouldn't be there. It's my fault, and it is lowbrow. But as I say, it's the best kind of lowest common denominator, Steve.
Well, I can't think of higher praise, given everything. I mean, you have been effervescent about this book, about the Sentinel.
If you don't like this audiobook and you don't think that this audiobook is better than the solid state in real life version, then you are wrong. Now, in terms of whether it's a good book and in terms of whether we recommend it or not, I recommended the Netflix series The Floor is Lava to one of my fellow yummy mummies down here in Adelaide, Jane. And the show does what it says on the tin. It's a giant, gaudily coloured, loud American version of our favourite kids game where you jump from the sofa to the dining room table without touching the floor because the floor is lava. And they've done it in an American television studio, and the furniture is giant, and the floor is covered in a pool of orangey bubbling gunge that looks like lava, but it's probably really nastily tepid if you actually fall into it. The girls and I, my two 9-year-olds, we watched it properly. We chose sides. We decided who we liked and who we didn't like, and we jeered and we cheered appropriately, and we got something out of it. Jane and her 9-year-old Ben looked askance at it. They took a critical viewpoint, which is just not the idea. So it's not that the floor is lava was the problem. It was her attitude to the floor is lava that was the problem. And again, if you walk into this audiobook experience expecting a bit of fun, and again, a bit of fun that, funny enough, my friend Jane is also a social worker, and she has a problem with James Bond because she feels it's some sort of misogynist fantasy, and she's probably not wrong. But again, this one has been written in the modern era, and it's about a politically correct thug, vigilante. So it's harder to criticize it in a way that people would necessarily instinctively do. You instinctively think, oh, it's just chauvinist bollocks, but it's a little more clever than that. And if you think it's not clever, then you're not paying attention.
So the last bit here, of course, is where we just recap the book, the title, where you can get it from. But we should discuss this very quickly. So The Sentinel by Jack Reacher is book 25, written by Lee Child and Andrew Child, narrated by Jeff Harding, published by Penguin Audio. So Andrew Child, what's the deal there?
Well, again, you and I have differing... We've both heard about this, but we both have differing opinions. What I understand is that Lee Child, again, whose proper name I keep forgetting, terrible, has, after 25 years, now 66 years old, has gone, I've had enough of this. I've sold 100 million books. I don't particularly need the coin. And he has roped in his brother, who is also a writer, but not necessarily as successful, who is called Andrew, said, you have to use the Child pseudonym, but you can take over writing the books. And the thing I read last year was, the one he did last year was the last one that Lee Child was going to do. But the thing that you've read more recently says that...
Well, there's some sort of handover period of a few books where they write them together, and then Lee will slip behind the curtain and, the curtain on the stage, into the wings, not just, not in DFS or somewhere, but
not on the trundling wooden box to the sounds of Brian Eno into the fiery pit of hell. Not that one.
No, not necessarily. I'm sure he wants to enjoy his retirement before going to a pit of hell. So yeah, he's gonna slope off, and then it'll just be Andrew Child writing it, from what I understand. If you know differently, of course, then drop us some comments on the video or use the hashtag Audio Book Club. That just about wraps it up for this edition of Audio Book Club, the world's only interactive audiobook review, with Matthew Layton in Adelaide.
Goodbye, Steve.
By the way, we'd love to hear from you on Twitter or Instagram using the hashtag Audio Book Club. Search for the same on Facebook as well. And if you like this utter nonsense, then hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time on the YouTube or any other.
There is no merch.
No merch.
There is no merch.
Bye.